Hello everyone. In this video, I will show you how to make a quick Node.js backend. We will not use MongoDB. Instead, we will use Firebase, which I think is quite easy to set up. Before we start, make sure that you have Postman installed on your machine because we're gonna need it to test our API routes. And because we're using Firebase, you will need to have a Firebase account. If you don't have one yet, make sure that you create an account so that you will be ready to code along. Now, let's get started. First, you have to make sure that you have Node.js and npm installed on your machine. If you haven't, go to Google and search for Node.js, or just simply go to their website, nodejs.org. Node.js is a JavaScript runtime environment. It allows you to execute JavaScript commands outside of your browser. So go to their website and then download the latest version on your machine. Also, go to Google and search for npm, or just go to npmjs.com. It is a package manager for Node.js. We're gonna need this to install packages like Axios, bcryptjs, express, and firebase in your project. Okay. To check if you have Node.js and npm installed, go to your terminal and type node-v to check the Node.js version and npm-v to check the npm version. Now I have both installed. I can finally initiate my Node.js project. So go to your desktop or any folder that you want and then make a new directory. I'm going to make a new directory or folder called easy-site. Enter. Then go to that folder, cd easy site. If you type ls, you can see that it is empty. So in here, we are going to initiate our Node.js project. So type npm init. Press enter. Here it asks for the package name. I'm going to accept the default. Author's name. And down here, press enter. Now type ls again, and you will see that package.json was created in the folder. This is the folder that I created, and you will see package.json was created here. To start coding, you're gonna need an editor. I will use VS Code for this project. Go to Google and search for VS Code and download the program on your machine. And then drag and drop the project on the editor. Right now we have only one file, package.json, which contains the basic information of our project. We don't have any dependencies yet. We're going to install some dependencies right now. In the project folder, type npm I for install --save express-validator Axios body-parser and request. Press enter. Now back to your VS Code, you can see that a folder and a file were created. Now click package.json. You will see that Axios, body-parser, express-validator, and request were installed in your project. Now go back to here. Make sure that you're in the root directory. Create a new file called server.js. Press enter. First, we need to import the Express package so that we can create HTTP servers and also make HTTP API routes. So type const express require express const app express app.use express.json, app.get, res.send hello, const port process.env.port for 5000, app.listen port, which is from here, elf function. We're gonna type in a console log message saying listening on port $ curly brackets and port. Okay, this is not a single quotation. It is a backtick on the upper left side on your keyboard. Now save everything. Go to package.json and change from index.js at main to server.js and save. On your terminal, type npm start to start our server on port 5000. Now, if you go to your browser and type localhost : and 5000, you will see a message hello printed out. Now, our server is up and running. Now I open up my browser and go to firebase.google.com and then go to console. Next, click add a project. Give the project a name, easy site. Continue. Create a project. When that is done, click continue. Next, go up here and click project settings. Click service accounts. Then scroll down and generate your new private key. Download your key onto your machine. I will rename my private key file to service-account.json. This is how your private key should look like. We're going to remove this file inside our project. Back to VS Code. In the root directory, I'm going to create a new folder called config. And then I'm going to drag my service-account.json file inside the config folder. Open up your terminal. In the root directory, type npm i-save bcryptjs config.env firebase-admin jsonwebtoken and UUID v4. Press enter. Now back to the project. Open up package.json file and make sure that all the packages were installed in the project. Now go to server.js. Up here, type const admin equals require firebase-admin. Then we're going to import our service account here. Const service account equals require, and then go to that directory. Then initiate our firebase for our project. Admin.initialize app credential admin.credential.cert and import our key inside. Save. app.use/API/register, comma, require dot slash route slash API slash register, and save. We haven't created this folder yet. We're going to do that now. So here in the root directory, make a new folder called routes. Inside the routes, create another folder called API. Inside the API folder, make a new file called register.js. In here, we're going to import some libraries. First, we are going to import express, require express, next router, express.router. We are going to import bcrypt, require bcrypt.js, const jwt. This one is from jsonwebtoken, const config, require config, const check validation result, require express-validator, and then the library from firebase-admin, require firebase-admin, and then we're going to use firestore to store users' data. Let's first try and see if our API route actually works. So type router.get, then request response. This will merely send a message saying register page, and save. So what is going on here? If you go back to server, because of the Express package, it allows us to create many API routes. Before, we had only one route, which is the default route, and it sends only a hello message to the user. Up here, we created another route, the register route. So when the user types in localhost :5000/API/register, then it will redirect them to this file, the register.js file, which is in the routes folder. So if you go back to the register.js, you can see that there is only one route here. Later on, you may need to add more API routes to your application. For example, you can add app.use, which points to API/login. And this one requires a different JS file. So go to route API/login. And we also need to create a new file here, the login.js file, to make that work. Okay, but that's the idea. Now go back to register.js. This single slash represents this URI. Okay, so you don't need to type /API/register up here because you already did it here. Open up your terminal and run npm start. it threw out an error. That's because back to the JS file, the register.js file, you also need to export the file out. So module.export equals router. Okay, save, run it again, npm start, and now listening on port 5000. This is the default API route, localhost 5000. So I'm going to add /API/register, press enter, and see our route is working fine. Awesome. In our register.js file, let's create a post route so that our users can sign up. Below router.get, I'm going to type in router.post. Up here, we use the get route because our users are getting data from us, which is this message register page, and we use response to send data to the users. But down here, we use the post route because the users are sending data to us. Okay? And here, we also accept request and response, followed by an arrow function. In order to extract the user's information, we need to use request. I'll show you in a bit how to extract the user's data from this request. But first, let's check if our users type in correct information. We're gonna use this check class from this express-validator library. The first one that we will check is the name. Okay, this field must not be empty. If it is empty, we must tell them that name is required. And the check class has this function not.isEmpty to check if the field is empty. Okay, and we're gonna check email, whether email is in the correct format. If not, we're gonna tell them that email is not in the correct format. And then we will use another function, which is email, to check the format. And the last one is we will check for password. Let's say if the user's password is less than 5 characters, we will send them a warning. So password must be more than 5 characters. Okay. And oops, sorry, should be up here. And then the function that we will use is length, and then you need to give it the value, the minimum length of the password, which is 5. Good. Now this array will check name, email, and password. And then down here, we are going to create another variable called errors, and we use this validation result class to check if there is any error here. So to do that, you type validation result, and then you pass in the request. Like I said earlier, to get data from the users, you need to use request here. And if there is an error, well, let's say if errors dot is empty. So this means if this variable is not empty, okay, there is an error up here, we will return response.status 400 to the user, telling them that errors and a list of all the errors. Okay. If this variable is empty, which means there is no error, then our user can proceed to the next line. So we will use try catch down here and create another variable called user ref. Here we will call our database to our users collection. Let user, because we are getting data from the database, we need to use await because this process is asynchronous. When you use await, you need to put async up here. Okay. Then user ref, ref, I don't know. Okay, user ref dot. This is a file store function. We're gonna check if there is the following email: rec.body.email in any documents in this user's collection. And this value request.body.email is from here. Okay, this is what our users typed in. So request.body.email. If you wanna extract the name value, you can change this to name, rec.body.name. Okay, that's the idea. But this is kind of long. There is an easier way to do that. So up here, you will destructure the values from the body. So const name, email, and also password from rec.body. And down here, instead of typing rec.body.email, we can just say email, which refers to this one. Okay. And .get. Okay, very important to get any result back from our database and then store the result in this variable. And we can even like console.log this result, okay, out to see what is returned. And then if not user.empty, okay, which means that it finds this email in our database. That means this user cannot use this email to sign up again. Okay, we don't want any duplicate accounts in our database. We're gonna send rest.status 400 back to the user, telling them that this email has already been taken. So errors, okay, saying like this email has already been used, something like that. And then if this is empty, okay, that means we don't find this email in our database, so it is available for use. Then we can first, we need to generate a random ID for a document in this user's collection for this user. To do that, I'm going to use another package to generate a random ID. So open up your terminal in your root directory and type npm i-save password generator, enter. We are not generating a password for our user. We're simply creating a string of random characters to use as an ID for our document in our user's collection. Okay. So then we're gonna import up here const generate password require password generator. Down here we can use this function to generate a random string of characters. So let's say the length of the string will be 6, and then const salt, we're gonna use await bcrypt.jsonwebtoken, give it 10. Okay, const hashed password await bcrypt.hash password and salt. What I did here is to encrypt our user's password. We don't want to send a raw password to our database because it's not secure. We're gonna use bcrypt, which is a package we imported here, bcryptjs, to change the user's password to some random characters with a length of 10. You can increase the number here. The higher the number, the more secure the hash will be, but that will take more time to generate too, but 10 should be fine. And then bcrypt.hash, so this function is like the magic part to change this password that the user passes in, this one, and mix that with the salt, and this will become a new value, which will be very hard to, or even impossible to hack. Okay, and then we will store this hashed password to our database, and when we want to decrypt it, we need to use bcrypt, this library, to do so. Okay, and down here we need to store everything to our database. So we go to collection, name users, and the name of this particular document. This will be a new document in this collection. Okay, so we will pass in the ID we just generated down here. Okay, that will be the name of this document, and then inside this document we will set the following data: ID, name, email, and password. Okay, which is the hashed password. And then down here, const, gonna make a payload which contains ID and name of our current user. Then we use JWT, this one, from jsonwebtoken to create a token. Okay, jwt.sign. It takes the following values. The first one is our payload, which contains ID and name, and then config.get. Okay, we installed the config package here, but we haven't created a file up here. So inside the config folder, let's make a new file, and let's name it default.json. Okay, and inside this default.json, we need to create a key value pair for our JWT. Okay, so my key will be JWT pass, and the value, let's say I love React, and save. Okay, and then we're gonna pass in this key to here, and this whole function will look for this key in our config file to check if the password matches. So, and then we need to tell JWT when our token should expire. We use expires in, keep it in the millisecond value, let's say 40,000. And then if there is an error, we're gonna throw an error, but if not, we're gonna pass along the token arrow function, and then if error, we're gonna throw an error. If there is none, then we're gonna pass our JSON back to the user so that they can use this token to stay signed in. Okay, so this token contains this information, the ID and name of this user. Okay, and we can do a lot with this token on our application. Okay, I will show you that later on, but this one is very important. Just know that for now. And then down here, if there is any error, we're gonna send status 500 and send the server error. There is something wrong. Okay, and then save everything. Now let's review what happens again. We created a post route here, and then the user must provide us with some information like name, email, and password, but we need to check if the information the user gives us is correct by using the check class from express-validator. And then we're gonna use another function from the same library, validation result, to check if there is any error. If there is an error, we're gonna inform the user of that error, and then they need to fix it in order to proceed to the next line. So if there is no error, we will extract information from request.body, that is email, name, and password, and then we're gonna use the try catch block. Okay, we call our database, call this particular collection named users, and we will look for this email, okay, in this collection. If there is this email, if this email is found in our database, that means it's already been taken, so we do not allow our user to proceed. But if we don't find this email in our database, then we continue to the next line. First, we need to generate a random characters to make a random ID for a newly created document down here, and then we're gonna encrypt our user's password. And down here, we need to store our user's information to this collection, but we need to create a new document first, and this document needs a name, and that name is from this random string of characters. Okay, and down here we created a payload to be to embed in our token.